My name is Lani Gill, and I'm an orchestra director at Alamo Heights Junior School in San Antonio, Texas.
And I'm Johanna Kitchell, orchestra director at Riverside Junior High in Fishers, Indiana. Like many other things, dynamics come from bow usage, so helping your students learn to control their bow can really expand their dynamic range.
Johanna and I tell our students to either change the placement, weight, or speed of their bow. We recommend only changing one of these factors at a time to teach your students. The first one is placement. There's two things that involve placement. First, where you put the bow in regards to the bridge or the fingerboard. If you're playing closer to the bridge, the dynamic will be louder, and vice versa. If you're playing closer to the fingerboard, the dynamic will be softer. Let's show them both. The next thing involving placement is in regards to where you're placing the bow on the string. So the frog is naturally heavier than the tip, so the dynamic at the frog will be louder than at the tip. Let's do one down bow and keep the weight consistent to see if there's any change of the dynamic. Ready? It definitely got a lot softer at the end, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Next is weight. So overall, with your bow hold, just adding a little bit more weight will make the dynamic louder. If you play with less weight, the dynamic will be softer. Let's show them both.
Okay.
Nice. Lastly, you can change the speed of the bow. The faster you move the bow, the louder the dynamic, and the slower you move the bow, the softer the dynamic. Let's show them what it sounds like to pull a really fast bow on a D string. Now let's do the opposite. I want you to try moving your bow as slowly as you physically can without changing the tone. Can you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's try it. Ready? That one definitely can be a little difficult to master for your students at first, but it's a great way to practice. We also like to incorporate different exercises in our classroom involving dynamics. One of the things I like to do is have my students sing their pieces, either by saying the note names or the finger numbers, but also incorporating the dynamics. It's a lot easier to transfer the dynamics to the instruments once I've practiced singing first.
You can also have your students expand their dynamic range by using a rating scale like 1 to 10. I'll have my students play a passage and then ask them to assign a number. Let's say they give it a 6. I can then ask them to play the same passage but play it at a dynamic level 10 or a dynamic level 2. This allows them to expand that range objectively while not worrying about specific dynamics, terms, or symbols, and also separating it again from the music itself. You can also use scales to help dynamics. I might have my students play a scale while using a crescendo on the way up or a decrescendo on the way up or some other sorts of things. So let's start with a crescendo. Let's do the first few notes of a D major scale and we're going to crescendo on the way up.
Sure.
It's a little more challenging to try and decrescendo on the way up. So let's try that one.
Another thing that I like to do in my classroom is allow my students to create hand gestures that symbolize different dynamics in the repertoire we're working on. So in my rehearsals, I'll use the hand gestures that they've created to represent the dynamics that I would like them to play. This gives the students ownership for their learning. I change back to standardized conducting before a concert, of course, but it's really fun during rehearsal to allow the students to create their own hand gestures.
So we hope these exercises can help your students expand their dynamic range.